Hello everybody, and welcome to another Nerd News Review. My name is Tyler Waltz, and today we'll be going over Final Fantasy XVI. I want to start off by saying I've been a fan of Final Fantasy for many years now, so Final Fantasy XVI was one of my most anticipated games of the year, which is why it was pretty difficult for me to come up with a rating for this one because it's so different than previous entries in the series. I want to start off with the story, but I promise I won't go through too many big spoilers. I'm going to try and stay away from the big moments in the game and just give you an overarching idea of kind of what the world is. In this game, there are mother crystals that basically supply the magic to the entire realm of the game. And each one of these crystals have a representative of what their power is, being fire, lightning, wind, and so on. And the Econs are these big monsters that you're seeing many people talk about and in many of the trailers of the big fights of this game. And I have to say, when it comes to these big over-the-top fights, it's a 10 out of 10. It's absolutely amazing in every way. The graphics are phenomenal. It feels like you're watching a movie. Some of the best animation I've seen in a game for a long time. It really pulls together and shows you like the exclusive experience that they wanted to give you with this game. And stuck in the middle of all of this is your character, Clive. Clive has the abilities of the Phoenix, but the Econ, or the Dominant as they're called in this game, is actually his younger brother. And basically once this is found out, there's a lot of betrayals and medieval political drama that honestly kind of plays out like a lot of Game of Thrones. But it is the main driving force of this game that is so enthralling, it's really hard to put the controller down. But as absolutely amazing and incredible as the main story is, it really lacks in the side quest department. At about 50% of the way through the game, I haven't done a single side quest that isn't deliver a package or kill something that's like 100 yards away, which honestly is pretty disappointing because it makes anything outside of the story kind of boring because of how big of a spectacle the actual cutscenes in game is. Now, I fully plan on finishing this game, and if there are any updates or anything changes after the point that I'm at, I will make sure to update. But along with the story is the supporting cast. And the people that are directly associated with Clive, being Jill or Torgal or Cid, are absolutely amazing. They knock it out of the park. They have a lot of depth and are well-developed characters. But outside of them, since the side quests don't really go into anything, there's not really many memorable people outside the core four. That's going to sum up the story elements because I don't want to get too spoily considering the game's only been out for about 4 or 5 days at this point. Next, I'm going to be talking about the RPG elements, or I guess kind of the lack thereof. Unfortunately, a lot of the equipment or customization has been drastically taken back on this game. You do get 6 equipment slots, 3 of them being armor related and 3 of them being amulet or ring related. But outside of seeing the numbers go up or down or cooldowns being lowered a little bit, it doesn't really change your character in many ways at all, and it doesn't make a huge impact on your build. For example, I really liked in the boss fights how there's a stagger meter for bigger enemies, and I tried to focus my character primarily in that. But basically what the story was giving me was far better in every way than anything I could customize or build or buy on the side. So if you keep doing story, there's really not a point in doing a lot of the side quests that don't have a lot to them anyway, because the materials that you're getting drastically get outpaced by the very next story mission that you're doing. Another thing is you only play as Clive. There are no other playable characters in this game. You do get party members from time to time, but they kind of just travel with you and join in on some fights. But you're Clive in this game. You are not a party or any kind of customization with that either, which I kind of like the idea of because you were seeing the story through a single point of view, and it was kind of nice. It really simplified a lot of the drama that was going on of this grand adventure. The last part of this review that I'm going to be doing is the combat and the gameplay, which is where primarily I'm going to be focusing most of my attention on. The combat is very different than previous entries in the Final Fantasy series. It is much closer to the Final Fantasy VII Remake or Final Fantasy 15 in the fact that it is active combat, but this one goes full Devil May Cry, which is fun. I love the Devil May Cry games. I was obsessed with them. But I feel like if I wanted that style of combat, I'm going to go play that game or Bayonetta or something that has that style. So personally, when it comes to Final Fantasy, I'm more of a turn-based strategy guy. But with that being said, they have nearly perfected the Devil May Cry style of combat and the hack and slash. A lot of the abilities that you get from these econs as you go through the game are so incredibly fun to pull off, and the combat is as smooth as combat can be. There's dodging, there's parries, there's charge strikes and combos and different ways that you can imbue your magic into your combat that feels so fun. There's not a dull moment in combat. But with that being said, the boss fights are mostly where it's at. A lot of the smaller enemies like your plants or your spiders or your filler enemies are kind of just fodder that you're running through to get to the next point in the story. Almost to a certain degree where you kind of get annoyed with it. At the beginning, as you're learning more and more abilities quicker and quicker, it's very exciting to kind of test them on the mob. But once you kind of get your play style, it's really rinse and repeat, but then you get so excited for the big fights because that's where it really shines to put together everything that you've done so far. And my favorite part of the combat so far has been the big monster fights. Yeah, if you've seen the commercials where the big Balrog looking thing is fighting off monsters, that's you. You get to fight and be in those gigantic fights. You're not a bystander. You're not watching it. You are Godzilla fighting your way through this game. And at the end of the day, that's where Final Fantasy 16 shines. These big spectacle, gigantic battles that feel so drug out but flow so well is where this game hits its peak at the end of a lot of story missions, making this one of the most memorable Final Fantasy games in recent memory. So in summary, Final Fantasy 16 is one of the best stories I've seen in a video game for a long time, with some of the smoothest, most amazing combat that the PlayStation 5 has seen so far. But unfortunately, it is bogged down with mindless side quests and a lot of RPG elements that I think longtime fans are going to be missing out on, to the point where you almost don't want to do them because you're just so excited to get to the next big monster fight or the next big reveal in the story. So with that, I'm going to give Final Fantasy 16 a 7 out of 10. And that's going to wrap up my review. I want to thank you all for watching. I do these every Monday, so please tune in. Let us know what you think. What did you think of Final Fantasy 16? And if there's a game coming out soon or in the past that you want me to review, put it down in the comments below. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next review. Thank you for checking out Nerd News, everybody. We don't have advertising, so you are the advertising. If you like it, tell a friend, like, comment, subscribe, even leave a review on Apple. Everything that you do to support us, we truly appreciate it. And we actually just launched our Patreon, so if you'd like to support us even more, you can go check that out. All of our content is free. We have different rewards for different tiers, so check that out. And thanks again. We'll catch you next time.